Please.
Let me say,
I just think he's not one. Broken down. Stole off. How you know?
I feel like it might be a reminder material. I can remember that.
I know you're not doing it, so good.
I think it's out.
No, not that I've heard of, but I'm stuck with it.
Yeah, it's out. Yeah, 160. You did.
That would be good.
Oh, you got it. Thank you.
Jan, you say the prayer. Let's come to order in this chamber.
Okay.
I want to call on Commissioner Jim Johnson to say a prayer.
Bow your heads, please. Almighty God, we give you the glory and the praise for the beauty of this day. We pray that as we engage in the business of this town, that we will be aligned with your will, not ours, but yours. In the precious name of Jesus, amen.
Let's stand there, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Fred, you gonna cover the budget?
we have our department heads will be discussing their particular departments, with our very careful. Present to the board.
Alright, so I think I've got all my notes here, so if you guys have any questions, we'll kind of walk through it. So good evening, everybody. It's good to see everybody. So Tyler, you just get a little air. Ooh, fancy. Okay, so to kind of get things started, what I wanted to do before we actually start talking numbers and things like that is let's talk about the past year. For the library and the museum, everything has changed. When I say my world has been flipped upside down, it has been flipped upside down. The way that we used to do things at the library wasn't possible. Everything that we did, we had to refocus. We had to rethink things. We had to basically find a new way to reach out and serve the community. And that's been challenging, but it's also been very good as well. So a couple of key accomplishments I wanted to point out to you guys. I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm not good about bragging about things, but I wanted to point these out so that you guys knew, or you guys know the work that we've done over the past year. My staff and I, we've worked hard over the past year to accomplish these things. So we were the first library in the county to host virtual online story times. Special thanks to Tyler back there, because we got very creative in how you record, how you upload, how I got the stuff to him. We weren't here, so we were all trying to figure that out, and we were really successful in that. The community really liked those. We were among one of the first libraries in the county to reopen to the public. In September, we were on the forefront. This last time in March when we reopened, let's see, was it March, February? I've lost track now. I think it was February, okay. This last time when we reopened, we were the first library to reopen in the county. So that was a pretty big thing, and we've actually done pretty well at that. We've been open 2 or 3 weeks now, so that's gone really well. One of the other things that I want to point out is we still figured out a way how to have summer reading. Even though it was drastically different than anything we've done before, we converted all of our Big Friday events that usually happen at Parks and Rec in person, we converted those online, and we publicized them. So we tried to reach the community every way we could to give these kids an opportunity to have somewhat normalcy back, even though it was online. And then the last thing that was a huge accomplishment is we started partnering with other town departments. We started doing stuff with Parks and Rec. Oh, am I too loud? Oh, okay. All right. So we started partnering with Parks and Rec and other town organizations and community groups to start conducting work in the community. Instead of trying to do things on your own, we found out that working together, we could actually accomplish a greater goal. So next, so what have we spent our time doing over the past year? Really and truly, a lot of planning. As I put, planning, and then replanning. What worked today may not work tomorrow. We tried things, we had to adjust, we had to go back to the planning board. That was what this whole past year has been like for us. We have also rearranged our collection in the building to make it easier to find things. One of the big things we did was we combined the mystery section with the fiction section. The reason for that is mystery is actually fiction, but somehow we had it as a separate section. So when you got to looking for stuff, you would have one book in one section, one book in another, but they were part of the same collection. So we combined those, and then the other part that we did was we recataloged stuff to make it easier to find and put it back in the correct section. Along the same line, fixing cataloging problems. And then one of the big things that we've done this year is offer curbside service to patrons. That means that there was somebody in the building 8:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. We were there answering the phones. We were there offering assistance. We were checking in and out books. We were offering printing services. At one point, we were the only library that you could still get stuff printed out of. So that was a huge service to the community. And technology help became a big part of my job, where basically it could be done over the phone. That month where the stay-at-home order was in place, we had people calling the library saying, okay, this is what's going on. How do I stay connected? What do we need? Am I too loud for it? Oh, okay. So I'll speak a little louder if you guys need. We'll work with it. So basically, like I said, and the other part of the technology aspect is people would bring stuff to the library, and I'd stand on the sidewalk walking them through the different aspects of it, trying to help them understand how to use it. So the last thing that we did was we also helped families navigate the virtual schooling. That was a huge hurdle for our community, for our patrons. When you have parents trying to learn how to use Google Classroom, they never knew it. It was something new to them. There was one lady, one day, she showed up at the library. She was about to have a meltdown. Her daughter was missing assignments. She didn't know what they were. The child didn't know what they were. So it was taking the time to say, okay, this is where you find the stuff. This is how you do it. And that worked great. So with that being said, that's what we've done at the library for this past year. Now flipping over to the museum. Really briefly, COVID pretty much brought everything to a halt at the museum. Everything pretty much, like I said, came to a complete stop. This year we produced our first Black History Month documentary, and I will say that was a lot of fun. That was enlightening. I learned a lot that I did not know about people in our community, which was really awesome. And I'm hoping we're going to be able to keep that, because that was something that was very special this year. And then also, you guys will see that we did a 15 minutes at the museum where Ralph and I talked about different items in the museum, and that was simply to be a distraction. To offer something completely different, to take your mind off what was going on, and just have fun with it. So that's stuff that we did. We tried to get creative with it. Again, at the museum, we also partnered with other town departments. We hosted the first virtual Easter egg hunt, which I'm sure Matt will talk about or not, but that was really fun. And then what have we spent our time doing at the museum? Well, Ralph has managed to work through our physical catalog records, and this has identified several areas of concern that will be kind of my priority moving forward. And it's going to take a little while to work through those. And then also, our museum staff have been cross-trained to help at the library. So in the event during the time where we were busy and stuff, Ralph actually came over and helped at the library, offered curbside service to patrons, checked in and out books. And he helped us during that time where we really needed some help, and that was great. So now, before I move on, anybody got any questions about that? Okay. So now we'll talk about the museum's budget first, which is Fund 12. And basically what I wanted to do was, I wanted to start off by talking about where the money comes from. Basically, all the money at the museum comes from the Harry Kennedy Trust Fund that we receive every year. We do have additional donations that may trickle in here and there, memorial donations, memorial donations, and then there's the little plaques on the wall that you can donate certain levels to get your name on a plaque. We have those occasionally, but the bulk of our revenue comes from this donation. What I did for you guys, I looked back over the past 3 years and looked at the donations or that check that has come in every year. You will see that it does decline every year, but it's a guessing game. We do not know the amount of the check until it arrives in December. So as you can see, 2020 to 2021, we estimated the check would be $61,711 is what we guessed at. It actually came in a little bit higher than that at $62,810.80. So what I did this year was I kept the amount the same because the check did not decrease as much as what we thought it would. So that's kind of where those numbers come from. So I just wanted to show that to you guys. Do y'all have any questions about that? Okay. So what I did was, to kind of keep time in focus here, I broke out the expenses based on kind of like where we spend the most money in the museum. The first being salaries. That includes our part-time museum associate, and then 2/3 of my salary in this budget proposal comes out of the museum. Along with that, in travel and training, you've got just over $2,000, which is for professional development, and also the Preservation NC Conference, which is one that offers really good archival trainings and stuff. So that's really good to attend. And then also the last part of that is scholarship money. As you guys know, I am almost done with my master's in library science. December will be my graduation, so I am thrilled about that. So that means that this year will be the last year that shows up. But that's through the town scholarship fund, where you can get up to $800 per fiscal year. Okay, just making sure I'm telling everybody right. Okay, so then the last part of the expenses that I'll break out for today is our programs, which is a big thing. Our Black History Month celebration, which will be February 27th of 22. And that is one of the big events that the museum hosts, as well as our monthly coffee hour, which will be the first Friday of each month once we finally get to start that back. So that's what we're kind of looking at expense wise. Everything else is going to be pretty much routine there at the museum. Supply money to purchase toilet paper, paper towels, those type of things. So does anybody have any questions about museum? Good? Okay. All right, so now we'll flip over and I'll spend more time on the library because I know the library spends more money. And the library is a big part of the cultural arts department. So I'll spend a little bit more time talking about this budget. So what I did was I went back over 3 years and looked at the revenues from tax dollars, the total budget, and stuff like that. So as you see, for the most part, we stayed for like 2019, 2020, we were pretty close. This past year, we got some staffing changes, so that's why you see a little dip there this year, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And basically, I just put a note on there. If you guys remember last year, we actually were able to replace the front doors at a budgeted cost of $8,000. And if you haven't been by the library, I'll give you guys a little peek. So these are the left side of the screen is going to be the old front doors. The right side is the new. Major difference. Looks so much better. They work. When I say they work, they actually stop water, so that's nice. But that has been a huge improvement. On the inside, one of the big differences that is absolutely amazing is we now have the push bar so that we can actually lock the door and you can still push it and go out. That is a huge difference. Before we had a bolt lock. So that has been a huge upgrade for us. That has changed a lot. So thank you guys for that. And the inside looks so much better. We did find out, I don't think I told you guys, but the doors that were up were estimated by the company that replaced them to be installed in the 1950s. Based on the closure that was there. One of the hinges, like the top closures, were actually original. And they were one of the last models that you could still reveal. So they were fascinated that we still had something that was that old. But so they definitely served their purpose, but the new ones are working great. All right, so moving on. Now here's the fun part. Where did the library funds come from? And I think this year has been something that we've kind of talked about, but not a whole lot. So primarily, the majority of the funding for the library comes from tax revenues. That is how libraries were designed to function originally. We're talking years, hundreds of years ago that libraries were created. They were created to pull together all the resources in a town to make resources available for everybody. The idea was it leveled the playing field so everybody had access. So that's the idea. That's where it comes from. The other parts of our funding comes from donations. Just like the museum, the library does receive a check from the Harry Kennedy Trust Fund every year. As you can see, those are our numbers. The library's numbers have not decreased as rapidly as the museum's numbers. Could be because of the amount's lesser, so the change is going to be a little bit lesser as the market fluctuates. But that's what we're looking at there. And then memorial donations. So when you're looking at the budget worksheet where you see the tax revenue and then you see the other revenues, the 12.5 number includes the donations plus fines fees that I collect at the library. So that's where the 12.5 number comes from. And like I said, it's kind of a guessing game because we never know what we're actually going to get until that check comes in for the Kennedy Trust. And then what we talked about, fines and fees. I don't get rich off this by no means. Late fines are 25 cents per day per item. So really and truly, we don't collect a whole lot on late fees, but that's not the ideal. We would rather have people reading books versus collecting money off late fees. Copy print fees, 10 cent black and white, 25 cent color, and that is well above what we pay per copy. So we're good there. And then damaged, lost materials, it's the replacement cost of the item. We don't make any off of it. Basically, it's an even swap. We're put back where we were. So that's how that works. And what I did was I pulled out the last 3 years where we charge fines and fees at the library. As you can see, in 2020, our fees definitely dropped. We did not charge late fines. And that was pretty much, it wasn't just a county move, that was a nationwide move. We wanted people to keep their materials so that we did not have to deal with them, because honestly, when the pandemic broke out, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to quarantine books. We didn't know how to sanitize the collection. All of that had to be figured out. And so when you look at that, that's why you see that number at just over $1,000, which is a huge difference. But we did not charge late fines. The $1,000 is going to come from copy print money, where we offer that copy print service. So that's where that comes from. If you look before pre-pandemic, we were taking between 5,000, just over 5,000 in 2018, just over 5,600 in 2019. And that's replacement cost of books and everything like that. Once things start kind of leveling off, we will start charging back fees. We're kind of on the cusp of implementing the fines again and having them stick. But it's a case by case as far as if somebody's taken COVID, they've been sick, there's grace. And we try to work with them. So that's kind of where the majority of the funds come from. And then the last one, and this here has been something we've talked about before. This is state and federal aid grant and grant money. As we learned this past year, we are not eligible for state and federal aid or grant monies. We are recognized as an affiliate branch of the Public Library of Johnson County and Smithfield. We are not recognized as a freestanding library that is eligible for grants and federal aid. But that does not mean we cannot apply for it. So what we figured out was we have to work with the library in Smithfield. Collectively, if we work together, we can still apply for grants. So I will go ahead and tell you, this last round of grants that come out, we're working on it. I've already, first day on the job, the new county director, if you see there, April 12th, he received an email from me asking him to look into it and let's start putting a proposal together so that we can benefit from the, I think it was 1.5 million that was released for libraries. So it's not out of the question as far as grants, it's just that we have to work together. So that's pretty much where funding comes from. You may have any questions? Okay. All right, so breakdown of expenses. If you guys notice, one of the biggest line items we have at the library is salaries. Right now, this $49,000 covers 2 part-time library assistants, a third of my salary as the cultural arts director, and what I'm asking for this year is a summer intern to help with summer reading. And I'll go ahead and tell you guys, I don't have the staffing to run a summer reading program without this intern. So it's very important that we have that position because they're going to be the person that's going to help do the activities that are going to help with story times and stuff. That role for the summer is going to be essential for us pulling off summer reading. And then the other proposal is a third part-time library assistant. So when I say third part-time, I used to have a full-time. We're not fully open yet. Being that we're not fully open, it makes more sense to go with a part-time instead of a full-time. Possibly next year, I'll come back and we'll revisit that and talk about what that would look like. But that's what makes more sense. And so that's what we're looking at, and that's what we're proposing this year. And then for travel and training, it's $2,000, and that's for professional development, library professional development for myself, attend library workshops hosted by the state library. That's for me and my staff. They have some really good classes once in a while, how to repair books, things like that that really help us save money. And then the last part of that is the mileage reimbursement for book runs to Smithfield. And they happen every week. So Any questions before I move on?
Where do you get your summer intern? Where? What's the deal?
Okay, so in the past, I actually started as an intern. So I'm not exactly sure, library experience, I had ministry, working with children and youth, that was my background. Jessica, the other intern at the time, she was education major. Ideally, it would be somebody that possibly both of us come from Campbell. That would be where I would start, and seeing if we could find somebody local that would be a education major that would know working with children, that would be really good. The other option is, this will probably be later on, we might could possibly get a library science student once I have my degree, because then I could be a supervisor, like a field supervisor, so they could actually do it for class credit. Being I'm in a program, I'm not eligible to be a supervisor right now for like class credit. So the best option for summer intern would be a college student, possibly for Campbell, their education department. If I still have my contacts, I know people in that department, so we might can get the word out if that's something that we can move on. And with that being said, if that is going to be a possibility, Scott and I were talking today, we need to post that pretty soon so that we can advertise it and hopefully have somebody in the library before June 1st, because summer reading starts June 7th. So we don't have a whole lot of time, but that's going to be your best option as far as finding an intern. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay.
I'm going back to the
Okay.
slide.
What you got?
On the grants. So
Uh-huh.
if we have to go through Johnson County to apply for the grant, and say we get awarded the grant, we get awarded to Johnson County, is there a split between us and the county, or will we get 100% of the grant that we help you apply for?
Okay, so that would be determined based on the arrangement we have. So under the last one I sent to the county and asked him to look into, if all the libraries participated, the maximum we could apply for was 50,000, which means that would be split between the 6 branches if we all participate. So it would be whoever agrees to participate would be at that point how the grant's divided. And that would be wrote into the grant proposal, because they can apply for the affiliate branches, and then that money that's earmarked would be the way that we would spend that money. Yes,
And there's 6 affiliated with Johnson County.
that is correct. There's 6 of us. Okay, you're welcome. And all of that has been figured out over the last year, so we worked very hard on trying to figure out how to make it work. All right, so moving on to the next one. Here is the maintenance, and I put on there money to fix things as they break. I know that sounds crazy. I'm in a 100-year-old building, and that building breaks down. Last summer, my AC unit went out. Because we put in new front doors, we did not have money to cover it in the maintenance fund. So my book budget covered the $3,000 expense to fix the AC unit. So that's why having that number there, it gives us a cushion if we have to make a major repair like AC units and stuff like that. And they were installed in 1997. So probably next year we'll talk about AC units. I talked to Mike, they did a health study. Mike said we can still get parts for them right now. So we can probably look along for a little while longer, but they can go at any time. So we're going to give it another shot, 1 more year. But basically that is just to cover things as things break and tear up. The other thing in that is my alarm monitoring fee, and that's I think $26 a month. That's right. Okay. Yeah, that one never changes. So that one there is pretty constant. The other part, and I'm skipping over some stuff and skipping around, but we'll come back to the supply budget in a minute. But the programs, $5,000, that includes our summer reading program. That's the big Friday events that we host at Parks and Rec. And that's a really neat thing to offer our community. And so we've got a really good lineup for this year, and all of that's possible because of that budget line item. That also includes supplies for summer reading, PJ story time, special story times like the Black History Month I really like inviting April Turner. Is it April Turner? I think so. I know her first name's April off the top of my head. But she comes and she does an excellent job with story time, and kids absolutely love when she comes. She brings instruments, it's interactive, they learn a lesson by doing it. So she's really good to come for that. Then we got our holiday light show. We participate in Halifax and other town events, school events that we're invited. So all of that comes out of our program budget. Alrighty. Then moving on to the next line item is our dues and subscription. That includes our newspaper subscriptions, the ALA membership for myself, and the North Carolina Library Association membership. If you're wondering, ALA stands for American Library Association. The reason why it's important that we are a part of that is that's how I'm finding out about all the grant monies. That's how I'm finding out as soon as stuff's being released, they're on the list server. So just as soon as it's coming out, I'm seeing it. So that's why those memberships are important. The last part of this before we get into like the book budget is equipment. Our copier monthly expense comes out of this. This year I'm asking that we replace 4 of the public computers. Our oldest 4 are slowing down. Number 1 is on the blink. When I say it's on the blink, some days it works, some days it doesn't. So they're pretty much coming to the end of their life. So if we can go ahead and get those replaced, last time Terry actually purchased refurbished computers and they've worked for years. And so we can purchase those from TechSoup. The cost is going to range between $250 and $400 per computer, depending on specs. The last time I talked to BC3 for them to set it up, it's about $200 per computer. So that's what you're looking at. And then I have one computer at the start desk that is still running Windows 7. That is kind of a security issue. Windows 7 went out of service months ago. BC3 tried to upgrade it to Windows 10 and it failed because the computer could not handle it. So with that being said, what I would prefer at the start desk is a brand new computer that can handle the programs, the software, and actually be something that we can really function with. So I'm roughly saying, if you spend about $600 to get a decent computer, then the setup costs and stuff like that, you're looking somewhere $800 to $1,000 for that. So that's kind of what that breaks down to with equipment. That's something that we will have to do at some point. But the good news is if we can possibly use some of if we can get a grant or something, which kind of works, that may help offset some of that. So with that, the last part of my budget is going to be books and supplies, which is a huge part of the budget. That's why it's at the end, because I was going to take a little bit of time to talk about that. I'm asking for $15,000 this year, and basically this year is going to put us back at the level pre-pandemic. That will give me approximately $1,000 a month for collection development. And when I say collection development, that's buying new materials. That's also replacing old and worn out materials. So as you guys know, you use a book over and over, it's going to wear out. They have a lifespan. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but books aren't made to last forever. We have to replace them. So basically that $1,000 allows me to purchase new books and also replace the worn out and damaged books. And yes, the money that we take into 12.5 with those damaged books, that kind of plays into that as well. To kind of give you guys a little bit of idea about our current collection development needs. Basically, one of the big things that we are getting hit hard for right now is books to help children read. And I'm not sure, do you guys know what I'm talking about when I say easy reader books? If not, I've actually brought some samples right there that you guys can look at. Those are new books that are going to help children learn how to read. They're shorter sentences, smaller words, and it helps them, and there's different levels, so you kind of work through it. That is something that a lot of parents are asking for, and they're really helping the children. I've got a new set that I'm trying right now that's called Bob's Books, and Bob's Books breaks it down even further. And so I've got a family right now trying that, seeing if that's helping their health. So pretty much we're trying everything we can to help these children be successful. The goal is that we are kind of the supporting agency of the school library so that these kids have what they need. when school's not there or summer's there. The last part of that is the starter chapter books. We did not have a whole lot of starter chapter books, which are smaller chapter books that are easier to read. So we've got some of those, and that's really one of the areas of need. Spanish collections, another area of need. We really don't have a whole lot. And the reason why the Spanish collection matters is, think about it. If English is not your first language and you're trying to read a book in English, you miss what's going on. There are parts you don't understand. I'll never forget, I had a lady tell me she was excited about a new Spanish book I bought, and I was like, right? You know, I buy books all the time. She said, no, you don't understand. She said, I understand. She said, I can fully understand what I'm reading. And the other thing is for Hispanic families, having children's books in Spanish is major. They want to keep their family heritage alive, their family's language alive. Helping those children with those books where it's in their native language, or their family's native language, is a huge thing. So that's another part of it. And then lastly, and especially with everything going on, we need a collection that reflects our community. What I mean by that is when you walk into the building, you should find an author that is like you. You should find a picture book on the shelf that's like you. That means that there's no like, oh, this is one library, this library is for everybody. And when you walk in the door, we want you to feel that way. And by having the books that identify with different people, that's why that's important. So, moving on from collection development, that's kind of a passion of mine if you guys can't tell. Office supplies comes out of this as well, approximately $2,000 is what I budgeted for. That includes copier paper and office supplies for daily use. And then cleaning supplies, I did actually add this up. We do spend, this past year, we spent like $965 on cleaning supplies. That includes toilet paper, paper towels, that type of stuff. But we do go through a lot of cleaning supplies just because we want that building clean, regardless if there's a pandemic or not. So that's what that covers. And that's pretty much all I've got, unless you guys have questions.
Anybody have any questions?
So Derek, whenever we are offering the technology workshops for kids, that is sponsored through, I mean, there's no expense to the town, that's sponsored through another organization, correct?
Okay, are you talking about like where we help them understand Google Classroom and stuff like that? Or
No, you got a computer thing?
there may have been one time before I started here. Not 100% sure. I know that sometimes they do offer classes like that.
So we have to give us computer.
Not that I remember. That could have been something that they offered. I know some libraries will offer like Microsoft Office help, helping people with resumes, they'll do classes like that.
This is something for the children.
Was it just recently?
I don't know why I thought it was maybe like the year prior to the pandemic. I don't know why I thought it was maybe 2019.
I'm trying to think what that could be.
What, is it like a computer class?
No, it was a workshop for kids, but I'm trying to think.
Well, there's science in the summer.
Science and
Oh,
summer.
that's by Morgan Planetarium.
Okay, so
That's coming back.
Yes.
Okay,
So
that's
I've
it.
got that
That's
coming
it.
back. We have offered to host, we're the only in-person campsite this year in Johnson County. I have offered to increase the number of camps offered here. I'm waiting to hear back as to if they can handle it staff-wise. But that is one of the things that we partner with the Morgan Planetarium to bring that to them.
And that's great.
Yes, that is great.
It's just a limited number of space.
Mhm.
So when we ask people to have more than just those 2 weeks, I say, heck yeah. I mean, that's my kids have taken it twice. And they really do learn stuff. when you're the body, when you're the space, I mean, it's just, she takes it home every day and things like that. So, yeah, that's a good thing.
Let me ask you something. Your summer reading program, what time does that usually start? And the reason I'm asking you is because this year, summer school is gonna be a lot longer.
Okay.
Yes.
So I need
And
to
it's
look at
gonna be expanded to more children
Okay.
this year. So, I mean, it's not gonna be mandatory, but it is optional.
That is gonna be something I need to look at. Our Big Friday events are at 10 o'clock, and they are booked with the performers, and I started that a long time ago, so those I probably won't be able to change that much, just because contract, like, we've already, like, scheduled that, and they've already made their schedules and stuff.
And you'll probably have to get away with that because it's 4 days a week. It's gonna be 4 days.
Okay, well, good. The other story times and stuff are still up in the air. Historically, they've been Monday at 10 for story time at the library, and then Wednesday at 2 for the older kids. But like I said, I'm still trying to put all the pieces together and trying to figure out how we can do story time safely, how we can do these events. So all of that's still in the plans. I'll definitely check into that and make sure that we're not overlapping. And it might be that we offer them in the afternoon or something this year.
Is there any possibility with those performers in or the story time to do that virtual? Will the performers allow you to do that, put them on Facebook Live for kids and parents?
There will be, I know I've got one that I did a do it yourself kit. Basically, they send me everything and I'm posting the event. Those we can post the video for that, and we can do that as many times, and they can do it as many times as we want, or they want. We got like a blanket license for that. And then the other would be, I've got one other virtual that's scheduled. So those two will definitely be available virtual. I'm not sure with the other performance is something I can ask. I know with it being in person, I'm not, it's really going to depend on, I know Chris and Neil Magic, that's a no. They will not allow us to record that. Now, they may have a recording that we can purchase, that we can post. That's something I can look at as well, so that if they are in summer school, that would be an option.
Mayor, Commissioners, on that there's a time sensitive need for teaching. Address that if we started with that. That is the time to be able to serve people, to let them all staff. Give us consensus on that.
How long would they, intern?
So what I'm looking at is they would start either the last week in May, first week in June, and then they would run all the way June, July, probably the first week in August, because that's going to be the first time we actually catch our breath all summer. Because once June 7th hits all the way through the end of July, we don't breathe. It's a marathon at that point. So definitely during that time, and it might be the week after to clean up and close out summer reading, and then they'll be done. So I think the most I figured would be, if it's just the time period, to be about 10 weeks, somewhere around 10 weeks.
And currently, budget salary line, which is we had a full-timer that actually transferred into utilities department. So he has money in his budget right now to cover that one period of
Well, let me ask the question before you make a motion. Because if they're running this summer program with the school, what else is she gonna be able to do? Because it sounds like if they're doing certain things from a certain time of the day and school is going on, what is she gonna be doing?
So basically, at that point, if we run it like historically, summer or the interns have been done, their hours are set. Minimum 10 per week, maximum 20. So you can flex them. When the events are not going on, they're going to be open in the locker. That's going to be also times that we are planning, where we are getting stuff ready for the next event. So basically, I'm executing. The best way to describe summer reading is I'm executing one week while I'm planning the next week. So basically, I'm having to do this activity, this event, this story time, while at the same time I'm preparing for next week. So you're gonna have stuff that happens when events are not going on. That way we're prepared for the next. But in the event that there's nothing going on, they can be some library.
So this be a paid internship?
Yes, ma'am. When I was hired, it was $10 an hour. That's what we're looking at right now.
I have a question for you. Have you heard of any, like, great participation that's gonna happen in some of the schools? I know our letters went out this week, and I've heard a lot of Princeton parents saying, you know, they're gonna do summer as is, unless they afterwards. Have you heard of any?
It's not gonna be mandatory, no, it's not, it's the same way it works, it's not gonna be mandatory. But I think it's the participation is gonna be very high.
That's gonna, I mean, I saw that letter come out this week, and I thought the same thing, that's gonna affect our Parks and Rec team as well, because they're here during the day also. Kind of help parents out with childcare. I was wondering what your participation sounded like.
It's basically the same. I think they're pretty much running it the very same.
The definition is operating museum funds all motion, especially for the. What did you say? The budget for the museum, excuse me, and the library on balance at this time. So if you want to do a approval for the intern, it did not go in budget all. For the intern only, not the budget.
Right.
Right.
I make a motion.
I'll entertain a motion to,
He's already made a motion.
floor is not open for motion yet. I'll entertain a motion to approve what Fred just said about the part-time.
I make a motion to move forward.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Really, going on.
I will be. How do I turn this on? All right, well, before he gets back, I got to. Well, before you start with budget, I was gonna let you know, I'm 2020 is in my rearview mirror, so, we've got baseball, softball, t-ball, all starting up, all playing, practicing, not all playing, but all practicing right now. Aaron's got around 100, I think it's 170 plus kids. We started our movie nights back. We started Black Friday. We're doing 1 month. We've got esports tournaments going on, which is video game tournaments. We have softball tournament. We rented out the field for softball tournament this past weekend. We got pickleball going on Monday nights, and then a tournament coming in June. We're already planning ahead for the 4th of July, Hallowfest, all the events, the 4 or 5K run. We're going to start planning on that this coming week. We are back with our senior games. They're going to start next month. We're renting out facilities again, girls, multi-room, and we're renting out the gym right now for the tune of about $1,000 a week. To come in and play tournaments and games and whatnot. So we're back full swing. We're not full swing, but we're trying to get back as quickly as we can and as safely as we can. That's going to give you a little heads up with what we're doing and what's coming up. So we're trying to get back to normal. And I know that Aaron and Tim are still doing a great job just making those positions their own. I'm very positive about the team we've got put together. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the budget. Now, I'm sorry that came out so small. I didn't realize it. I have larger copies if you need it, but it's a Fund 14.
I didn't know.
I tried to put that Excel sheet on the PowerPoint, but I'm an old guy with new technology, so I couldn't figure out. I was too proud to call Tyler, so I went ahead and printed off another copy. But if we start at the top, or we start at the budget, I'll wait for you guys. I'll get one. The 2021 approved budget was $460,761. The request for 21-22. The increase is $59,239, and that increase was the transfer of Jamie Evans back to the Recreation Department from Public Works. It also includes any salary increases that may occur, and then the Social Security and retirement that go along with that. I'm not asking for any new people this year, but I will say when this park gets complete, we are going to have to probably look at adding someone in the future. I don't want to say full-time maintenance guy, but there's going to be a lot to take care of with the extra acres. But as of right now, while it's in construction and while we're working on it, we're good this year with everything. So I can't imagine we need another full-time person anytime soon before the end of construction. We're also not asking for any big ticket items, vehicles, or anything like that. We've got the park building, and that's the biggest ticket that I've got right now. So I'm very happy with that. So if we jump into the budget, you have 6,200. 200 is salaries. It's $254,243. It makes up 48.9% of the park's budget, and it includes 5 full-time people: myself, Tim Metzger, Cheryl Hall, Aaron Anderson, and Jamie Evans. And those salaries are on the back of that sheet I just handed out. If you want to take a look at it. The part-time is the office evening help, and we have 1 college student right now that's helping out with maintenance and pretty much anything else we have. And then the evening help is Tammy Glover, Ellen Ivy, Miller Barefoot, and then Landon is our just graduated from Campbell College, or just about to graduate from Campbell College student. So we're probably not going to keep him for very much longer, but we can definitely stay as long as he chooses to. Seasonal, it includes scorekeepers, the concession workers, any special event workers, anything like that. So that's the salary portion of it. The 600, 0500 is the Social Security. 0700 is the retirement. The Social Security is at $19,005. The retirement is at $37,005. And just to kind of let everybody aware, we will probably have one of ours retiring shortly. So that's just kind of information. But she's hasn't officially given a word yet, but she's thinking about very soon. So we'll miss the question. 6,200, 0300 is 21,810. That is any and all officials for all of the youth and adult games. And we have a lot of them. There's officials even for T-ball and Wee-ball, and they're more kids, but the officials for baseball, softball, coaches pitch, basketball, there's at least 1 to 2 officials for every game. And they make a variety of different money depending on the sport that they're officiating. $30 a game to $50 a game for baseball, to 20, I think it's $30 for basketball and for softball. So the officials are take the lion's share of that money. It also includes any specialty instructors that we have for any class, like say a yoga class that we offer, or an art class, something like that. If we have anybody come in for a real specialized class or event.
Man.
Sure.
That's 2118. Here, 57. Is this correct?
Wait a minute, hang on. The one on the,
6200 0300.
let me see. The one on the fund sheet I just handed out is correct.
Okay.
That was correct. I'm sorry.
Okay.
My typo.
That's all right.
All right. The 6200 1100 is $1,200. It's cellular communications, telephone, basically. The 1300 is utilities. It's $94,000. That's all utilities for all parks and recreation facilities. That includes the civic center, the gymnasium, the singing grove, all the athletic fields, all the lights, the scoreboards. It also includes the Benson Center for Active Aging, and it includes the Bama Food Pantry and Clothing Closet. It does not include, and I'm correct if I'm wrong, it does not include the partnership with children or the after school program. So anything that's Parks and Rec related, that is our bill for the year. We have our 6200 1400 is travel and training, any seminars, training sessions, clinics that any of my people want to go to get certified in playground safety, pesticide, is all included in that for travel and training. 6200 1500 is $10,000. That's maintenance and repair of buildings and grounds. Garrett could not be more right when he said the old buildings have to be repaired and they have to be repaired a lot. That's not an exaggeration. It also includes any vandalism that we get. We have to repair out of that. And that is at the Grove or at the This Park when they have to replace a fence or repaint something because it's been tagged, or that all goes into that 1500 line item. 1600 is maintenance repair of all the equipment. That is the buggies, any computer equipment or not computer equipment, but anything that we have to have fixed inside. We have a lot of field equipment that we have that has to be replaced and then repaired. That comes out of that, drags, whatnot, field painters, liners, then the 1720 is all the special projects. Most of that, or a lot of that, is the fireworks for the 4th of July. It also includes the movies. The movies, I mean, not that it matters, but the movies cost. For us to play it one time outside, it costs an average of like $375 to $400 for a one-time show. You can't show it, you're not supposed to show it inside, you're not supposed to do this. They have a lot of regulations, but it's all copyright law. The fireworks are at $14,000 now. 5K race is out of that. Any holiday events, Easter egg hunt, any senior trips that we have, the Thanksgiving lunch, the Christmas party toys that we give out to all the kids, any of the summer camps, the Hollow Fest, that $1,300. It includes oil we use around for it. And look, right.
1500 the maintenance repair of buildings. Our current budget for this year was 10,000. I see it staying the same. Have you got enough in that budget to cover the new VF park, or is that somewhere else?
No, that's it. That's just what we got right now. That's not covering anything that's what we have right now. We don't have anything. I mean, hopefully we can cover whatever problem we have in the new park, but all that construction is coming out of the grant money. And whatever match we have.
We'll be open by fall, hopefully.
That is a 5.5 month turnaround. That building should be completed, or better be completed, by the end of September, middle of October. Better be completed. So that sounds pretty tough, though, right? My tough guy. 3,000 is postage. Anything we have to mail out. We don't have a lot of mailings anymore. We don't do our monthly newsletter because it gets folded in with a lot of the town newsletters, and it goes virtual. Thank you, Tyler. 3,100, it's inspections and repairs of vehicles if we have to replace a set of tires on the van, or if we have to get something checked. That comes out of that. New radiator in the truck or whatever has to come out of that. That's what comes out of that. And then departmental supplies is 3,300. That's all the equipment that we use for everything. Athletic equipment, and that includes baseballs and softballs every single year. It includes basketballs, volleyballs every single year. Soccer nets, any equipment that we use, all the cleaning products, all the concession equipment and supplies when we're able to have concessions. It includes the garments for all the teams and the staff. It includes the awards for all the kids after the season. Any maintenance and office needs. It includes all our paper, reams of paper, everything. So anything that we use comes out of that. And we have a lot of cleaning supplies. We supply for mule days. We supply for all the events. We supply for all the rentals at the gymnasium. So all those cleaning supplies come out of that. And then the last one on here is the dues and subscription, which is our athletic fees we have to pay every season to the league. It's our NCRPA, which is North Carolina Recreation Park Association fees, and our National Recreation Park Association dues. Any team tournament fees, fees such as even our subscription to the Daily Record, and all those are included in that. And of course, that's what we're do. So all that comes out of that. And that's pretty much it. We're not asking for anything out of the ordinary, not asking for any big ticket items. Just kind of an explanation of where it all goes.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
The spring stuff cranks up.
Yep.
Do you anticipate being able to have concessions open now?
We're not planning on it immediately. What we're trying to explore is getting some food trucks and things out there. We're going to go with whatever recommendations we get from the state, the county, whatever. We want to, but we're just we're not sure what we're allowed to do. But we can do. It's in there if we want to do it. I guess is what I should say. But if we wanted to get an outside vendor to come in and vend in our concession stand, we couldn't do it because it's not set up for an outside vendor. It's set up for a non. They'd have to have commercial coolers, commercial sinks, and whatever they're going to cook.
But is it possible for you to partner with Lions Club or some of these that have the abilities to do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it would be as long as they're a not for profit. But I'll tell you right now, the Lions Club has sold their trailer and they're not.
I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah, I can let you know first. Yeah, they're not. I don't know about anybody else. Any of the others. That's something I brought up. Before this whole mess started. But yeah, we could definitely look into it. I mean, Baylo maybe, or the problem is the best thing would be to probably get some food trucks and have them come out, but you're missing out on your revenue from the concession stand. And then the food trucks don't really want to give you 20% of what they make. They're just no, we just want to come out. So we got to figure out a way to charge them a flat fee or charge them a certain percentage. Because right now they'd rather not come out than have to pay to come out.
We got the businesses and get sponsorship for things
For the concession stands, they haven't yet. No, I haven't. I have something to look into. I can put Aaron thing on see if they go for that views of it. I don't mind doing the concessions. It's just what we're allowed to do. It makes the money. I mean, we sell a hot dog for $1 or $2, and it costs us a quarter.
Hey, Commissioners, this is another fund that is balanced and doesn't have to do anything that's kind of sensitive.
I've got nothing right now. That's all I got. Thank you. No problem. Thank you.
Anybody else, Fred?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, here to talk about potential website update.
I've worked with this website for about coming up on 4 years, and you can talk to the ladies up front, and there's a lot of people that have a lot of business through this website, and it's kind of like putting out little fires all the time. It's time for a facelift, especially since we've got a lot of economic development starting to roll in. We've got a lot of potential residents, potential businesses looking at our site, and it's really time for a whole new thing. Let's go through some of the cons, and it's just outdated. I mean, that's just a fact. I think it was probably updated in 2013, something like that. Do you remember? Yeah, before a lot of our times. Yeah, because I remember as a reporter, I remember when it was updated. I can't remember the exact date, because I used to check the site all the time for certain things. But anyway, there's a lot of redundancy. So what happened was you had the old site, they updated it to the new one, but instead of making very clear choices of pages and the way you navigate things, they just sort of dumped it. And we find this out because people will call and say, hey, that fee is $4, but it said here it's $5. And you go back and look at stuff, you see that when they're searching, it's coming out with documents from like 20 clicks. And I had no idea where to find it. And then you look at it and you go through, you dig through, you delete stuff. And it's just, I'm not trying to knock the people that updated it years ago, but it's tough. It really is. It's a tough site to maintain in that sense. It is a cluttered interface. I'll show you some examples of it down in a minute, but when you get on there, you can see that, yeah, it's tough. As far as just like, say I want to pay a bill or I want to look at a specific thing, maybe in the parts and Rec department or whatever, that's not immediately obvious, and that's the problem. Weak search function, like I was saying earlier. Limited notification ability, and we sort of run into this too. Like a lot of these modern websites have great ways of getting information out quickly, as far as like, say maybe a water break or remote or something like that. And a lot of these newer websites have that built in to where it's a much nicer subscription service for the people, stuff like that. And we sort of have that functionality, but it's just not as fleshed out. Let's see, lack of media hosting. So this is a big one. I would love to have the website be its own thing, as far as like videos, blogs, even photos, for less reliance on social media. We have great social media presence. I mean, a lot stronger than a lot of towns. However, I would like to have our own hosting, and a newer website would allow that. That means when the turmoil of social media goes up and down all the time, we won't be beholden to that. We can have our own sources, we'll be our own masters in that way. I think that's a lot smarter than relying on Facebook or Instagram or whatever could happen with those and in a lot of ways too, you could point more people to a website that you don't have to sign up for, you don't have to worry about, do I have a login, do I have a username? It's just a lot nicer. And the maintenance tools, like the back end of the website, you look at it, they're quite outdated. There's a lot of features that are turned off that we don't have because we don't have just a modern package. And all of this is around 2,700 annually, and it does go up to the year before this, 25. It goes up, and it will continue to do so. That's just obviously how a lot of hosting services work. Now, here are some other websites. Just going to these towns is what it looks like. So now we are Civic Plus right now. What we're with. Civic Plus has updated and nicer packages than we have now, so we could stick with them. And some of these are Civic. This right here is a Civic Plus website, but it's the updated, newer version. And you can see right there. I mean, just look at that. It tells you exactly where you need to go. It pops. It's got a lot of presence, and it just looks modern. It just looks nice and clean and neat. The Smithfields, kind of the same deal. I think they're also a little more reserved, probably still. And then you got Garner there. They got the big information banner right across the front, and you'll notice a theme. And look at those like color circles and color tiles for everything. That's very nice. And I'm sure people can navigate that a lot quicker. you start to drill down into these menus, you'll see how easier they are to navigate, how much more sense they make than ours, quite frankly. And it's just like that's just an easier experience overall. Now, like I said, we currently pay 2,700. My estimate, and Terry and I, back in the day, I think it was 2018, we talked to a few companies at the time because we have always sort of had this in the back of our heads, the digital website. And we talked to, at the time, Civic Plus and a company called Revise, which I really like. That's I think probably the slickest website. And you're probably looking around 3 to 6, so effectively up to double what we pay now, depending on the features we choose, depending on, basically, like I said, it's mainly the feature set, because that's what you pay for, the seating thing. It's almost like a car wash package. You get the gold standard, it's got a bunch of stuff in it, or if you get the silver, it's a little bit less. But for what we're doing and the way we, especially with online forms, stuff like that, I think you're probably going to be around the 4 to 5. In fact, Granicus, that one site is weird. They actually let me a voicemail yesterday. I don't know if they bugged my internet searches or something, but these people are on top of it. They know that towns are looking for this kind of function. But the pros of this stuff is the modern appearance, as you can see, the improved organization. It completely eliminates redundancy because I would be working with these companies to start from ground zero, to build it. So we would make sure it makes sense. I work with the department heads to talk to the department heads, see what they need. Like, for instance, Parks and Rec uses online forms a lot to use that. So we make sure that it's front and center, it's clear, it's easy. And none of this, by the way, would affect our payment system. How people pay. None of that would be affected because payment is a completely separate thing. So all we would do is have a very nice link. So we wouldn't have to worry about messing up any of our current payment systems. Anyway, also a huge one, ability to host media content. That's what I'm really looking forward to. And less reliance on social media in that sense. So that way we can control our own story more. And, social media is never going away, but at the same time, I think it'll be very nice to have a hub of our own. And just to show you a few more examples, Rocky Mountain, they have very minimalist on here. But once again, it still gets the message across and it's clean. Clayton, got Clayton there. And then this is my favorite. This is a revised website. That's actually a video. It's a drone shot that goes around as you're cleaning, or as you're actually looking at the options. It's very simple. I'm a resident. I click a resident. I'm a visitor. I click a visitor. We don't have a visitor section. That would be wonderful. I'm a business. I click business, and then if you want to drill down next to the department, currently the way we do things is it's all through departments, and some people don't know what department they go to. And the thing is, like, yes, we can spend months and update what we have now with the tools we have now, but it's still going to be an old and outdated website. I think that's the key to actually getting a newer website, possibly a newer company, because it'll be from day one, it'll be new, it'll be properly constructed, and it will also have things like accessibility features. So it'll be ADA compliant. It's a big thing right now, by the way. If you keep up with government stuff, they talk about that in just about every seminar I've been in a while. So, and that would be things like navigation systems. It'd be like stuff for the visually impaired, maybe captions on everything. There's even like translation features on these websites, and that's very, very helpful. Improved host tools for quick editing. Yeah, like I said, the back end would be a lot easier to use. And we could also give the tools to some other people too, which would be nice to have other people and see it and look at it. Better mobile experience. Our mobile site isn't terrible while using it, but you would really have with one of a modern website an actual tailor-made mobile experience. And a lot of people, like if I go to a town or something, I feel on the website. So I think that, and a lot of people do, and our numbers reflect that. We see thousands of kids, unique kids every month from our website. Some of that is people paying bills or just curious, but a lot of it is people looking at things like, okay, well, what's the good plan cost? What does the permit cost? What is this? What is that? It's an important thing to have a pretty basic. And then, like I said, just a better overall experience. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I think we can definitely keep it within the 3.6, probably somewhere around 4 to 5 if we're missing. And that's it. Do you have any questions?
I just make a comment. You know, the number of calls that we get for various things, some of it complaints and some of it, you know, a good comment. But one of the things that this would really make it important is that when somebody wants to come to Benson to do something, build a house or build a business, a website is super important to be able to get on and find what they want. And land is the thing right now that you know, we need to get as much attention as we can. So
That's probably.
I'd really recommend that we do something and try to really upgrade our website.
That's probably the most visited section, I would say, is the planning department. And to that point, Aaron and I actually worked together to just redo as best we can now, and that cut down. They can tell immediately that the ladies up front, whenever they have problems with, like, say, like turning on electricity or something like that, they'll change it on the page, and they notice the drop in calls immediately because people use that. So to make it as pretty as you can and easy to use as you can is definitely important.
And I would just say as far as the tracking the careers that class services to this team, good idea to I would say I challenge the board to tell me when you guys are kind of like that.
Right.
Anybody know what to do?
Well, so you have to hover over community, and there's a section called employee.
And then how do I? And it says, I'm not going to. Right. So if I answer the phone, how many times a week? People go, oh, yeah, how do I? Those are people who just are interested in that. We're missing. Go to the next slide. Or the next website.
Their job is in front and center.
The
Yeah.
next employment. So that is, I always say, Colin makes everybody else's job. And by him bringing this stuff to the board, he is identifying the other teams that collectively will save us so much time and wasted effort to make our job easier. If that return can increase our website page.
Same with bidding. Anytime we have bids on there, you and I talked about that, you're like, where do I find the bid
Yeah.
document? You gotta go through 5 different screens.
I went on last week and I went on to the search bar right page and I typed in UDO. I was trying to get, I had somebody on the phone. I needed a question real quick about development. And Lord, it took me 20 minutes to find it. And I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And so,
And it's just the thing is, like, if we sit here and try to fix all that, then we just have it on their website. Still have to search.
I would be interested in seeing if you bring some.
Colin mentioned earlier about ADA transition, that standards that we have to meet. Our website is not contained, and 7 people with hearing or visual impairment, same thing. And so I asked him the question this morning as I was working on the transition package, and it just so happened that we're going to just get together and so very timely it just confirmed for me that we need to be looking at things in terms of updating our website, updating our ability to serve all populations.
Yeah, just know that we're working on this and we'll be seeing some partners in the future.
Our website is definitely not user business friendly.
It's a website. Yeah. That's it. Unless you have any more questions. Okay.
You're up, Fred.
Mayor Boyd, I don't have anything tonight. tonight, other than to mention, as I did to the mayor earlier, that the city's conference is on for this year. In August, it's Monday through Wednesday, August 16th to the 18th. Registration will come open sometime next week. And as we get that, we'll push our TV and let us know if you plan to attend this year. Other than that, that's all I have.
Where is it?
I think that I feel everybody in the audience, everyone.
Town attorney. Board of Commissioners. I want to review one thing. I got some calls for the Pond Street releasing things that are going on over there. It's the same dwelling that we've had concerns about before. I'm just asking Greg and the police department to have high presence over there. And perhaps Ann needs to explore over there. There are services being provided over there that should not be. So I'll just call your attention to that based on phone calls that I've received this week.
Remind me Commissioner, about noise complaints over here. East Hill Street. Picking up. We had sent the Pastor Church and certified letter indicating that there will be some further action from the town just based on their ability to keep their neighbors and keep the noise down.
So is that the complaint, the noise?
Parallel to that, ordinance changes so that we can probably simply that they get the decibel as opposed to anything that's more. Not only there, but Main Street as well. It's we go to not the right. You will see some proposals as far as that.
Has there been any response from Benson this week? So it's been a letter sent and the police department even have to go over it?
By the time I got over there to see what was going on, that particular was a camp on Friday. Still not involved with
So would you think noise, what they're doing, crazy noise?
that and a lot of times. But also there's another issue possibly how house across the street is being used, whether it's a rehab or not. You have to have certification for permission and all that.
Gotcha.
Well, I don't have anything now. I will be getting with Ms. Thornton. Is it Thornton? Your last name? Yeah, because there is something that I want her to look up in a minute, and I'll be coming back with that. And hopefully at the next meeting I'll get with you.
Ms. Simon? Is there anything else good for cause? I have 2 or 3 things. I got to tell you that the 3 people that presented here tonight, while they may be a small part of what happened, when we were going through the pandemic, well, we got no calls about the library, the museum, Parks and Rec, and all the things that's involved with that. And I think there's really a lot of people that go in and out of the place. And I especially appreciate what Matt Smith has done with the scheduling of all the things he's asked to do with the vaccination schedules, and there was a number of those that were done there. The son who was also involved with the food pantry works over there twice a month. We've always been a big help with that. And we got a lot of calls about exercise schedule. When could we get back to exercise? So we appreciate what these three departments and everybody else in the town do. But we got a good bit of public criticism about the meeting last week, the last meeting. And even to the point that some people said, well, I don't intend to put in another application to rezone or to try to build a house in Benson. It's just, it's such an unfriendly atmosphere. And regardless of whether we're for or against anything, we've got to, number one, we've got to follow the law. And number two, when we leave, we got to make sure that people that were here to be heard got heard and they understood what the answer that they received back. So I think when we have things that's in the planning arena, I think Aaron does a good job of explaining what's going to go on and what's required. And, I think we got to be more conscious of what the outcome is and we really follow the guidelines that we get. And I'm only bringing this up because there's a number of calls that I got. And 3 people came to see me and talked about you guys are really getting added a reputation of being very unfriendly to the business. So I've said that. I appreciate y'all coming tonight and working on the budget. And we've still got a lot of work to do, but yeah. Oh, I asked you. Is there anything else to go to the call?
Yes, there is one more. We are participating in the clean sweep in one. That we have 4 weeks of covering.
Start with one that you give them.
But not for picking up the we let the town do that.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
And I make that motion that we adjourn.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. We are adjourned.